everyone, welcome to another Bat Chat. I am Captain Logan.
And I'm Steve Baxi.
And today we're doing another commentary podcast on an episode of Batman the Animated Series. The next episode on our list is The Underdwellers. And unfortunately, Dan News couldn't be with us today. We had to record at a different time. We weren't able to meet up with Dan. And as we said last time, we will occasionally end up probably just be me and Steve, maybe occasionally have another guest in. So anyway, just me and Steve today to talk about The Underdwellers. Steve, this is one that I did not remember real well. I think I'd seen it maybe one time. And it's not real good. It's not one of the better episodes, I don't think.
No, it's one of those episodes that ends up on a lot of worst of lists for this show. And we've talked about this deserved? Alex and I have talked about this a lot, where Batman the Animated Series gets a lot of credit, but people don't talk about the really bad stuff that it does, and this is one of those examples. We'll get to it because this is definitely one of those style over substance episodes.
It's going to be really interesting. Excuse me. Alligator in my throat. It's going to be really interesting to go through and examine this show episode to episode like this as we're watching it, and go through some of that stuff, because I think I am one of those people that has a tendency to not remember the bad episodes. You know, like the really good ones kind of overwhelm it. I would probably be like that with other things that I watch too, if I went back to them more often. You know, or if I didn't as much. Like for instance, I watch so much Star Trek. I've done so much with like a Star Trek club with Star Trek that I recognize how much bad is in that, even though I love it, right? But this, I go back to the ones I like, and I don't watch it in order. So it's really cool that we're doing this.
Yeah, and this is the thing that doesn't really have a progression. You can just go with any episode, so why would you watch it all in order anyway?
Yeah, exactly. And I certainly never noticed in order when I was a kid.
Yeah, exactly. It would still come on TV right now, and I would just turn on whatever episode is on, so...
So, if you want to watch the episode with us as we watch and discuss it, of course, grab your DVDs, your Blu-rays, or go to Amazon Prime, however you want to watch it. Get everything past menus, rig it up to timestamp 0, and get ready to press play and watch it along with us as we chat. And as always, if you don't have the episode close and you can't watch it with us, we will do our very best to give you some context for what we're talking about, if you'd like to just look at our lovely faces as we discuss this. All right, here we go. Everybody, please press play right now.
So in keeping with our theme of talking about the intro in every episode, Amazon needs to pick one, because this show, when you watch the last episode, it's the Superman Batman intro, and now this episode is the classic intro. And they keep switching back and forth with that for no reason.
Amazon flips it in the first season?
Yeah.
That's weird.
And I don't know why. Like, what is there to do with like the last episode of Superman Batman and this one isn't?
The season 4 discs, as I said last time, I think, do that. And that's somewhat more understandable, just because it's like, well, we want to get it in there somewhere. We're never going to have a box set that's just those shows. And like, what would that box set be? And there aren't very many episodes that have both of those characters in it. It makes no sense to do it here, because, they showed reruns that way, but, I don't get that.
Yeah, I mean, with the sports season, there was a block of Superman Batman, so fine, you can switch it if you want to, but here it's classic Batman the Animated Series. It doesn't need that intro.
So the first thing I gotta say about this is as underwhelming as I think this episode is overall, it's got, as always, a really amazing soundtrack, and is like a standout one.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic music. Just every beat flows just right, and it never feels like the music stops. It almost works as a silent episode.
You wonder how. That's a good point. Maybe it's better that way too, because it feels like it. Well, no, I say that because it almost feels like, as over the top as it is, it should be a melodrama. Yeah. How much of this is harkening back? Oh, the soft focus thing is cool.
Yeah.
That was a big deal at the time that you could even do that. How much of this is harkening back, and we always talk about Fleischer, but even to the construction of a lot of those episodes, right? It's like, this is not a real complex story. And it's really cool how much it breathes through the 22 minutes, too. But, like, this is not a real complex story. This is Batman goes and finds some bad people doing something. He stops the problem, and then the day is saved. The end. And the only difference between this and a Fleischer Superman thing is it's a little grittier because it's Batman, and because it maybe superficially kind of harkens back a little bit to his origin.
Yeah, no, yeah, you're right on that. And this episode doesn't do a lot more than that. We'll get to it when we get to the main Underdweller guy, the Sewer King, and there's lots of Peter Pan comparisons and parallels they're trying to do, but ultimately none of that will amount to anything.
Uh, those kids are just, they're just dumb, man. I mean, I think the whole the whole there's a little bit of a couple of PSAs that go on in this episode, and one of them is don't ride around on trains, kids. Don't don't run off by yourselves without your parents. Or you might get kidnapped by a creepy guy in a sewer. you know.
Also, the other lesson in this episode is when someone steals your purse, always yell leprechaun, because that will immediately get Batman involved.
The big thing that I cannot get my head around in this is the really bizarre cartoon logic of everybody, including Batman, wonders if maybe this kid is an actual leprechaun.
He's got a green hood. There's not much more to it than that.
Come on, it's just it's like we've got this like really innocent 30s way of looking at things.
Yeah.
Well, but even then, I wouldn't imagine somebody who's like, we just have overactive imaginations because we don't have all this entertainment that like spells everything out for us. Yeah. So we have to actually use our own imaginations for everything, and that's why. And there is some truth to that where that happens. Where if you Batman leprechaun, it's not a leprechaun, dude.
Shiny anyway, shoes, mother of God.
Shiny shoes. But even in this kind of cartoon context and stuff where people do seem to like listen to the radio more than they actually watch TV and stuff, I'm not buying. I appreciate. Let's get at a time and that this almost wants it to be. What would you say? Like this kind of wants it to be the 30s. Yeah. But with advanced technology, right? Like that's kind of what it looks like to a degree.
Yeah, almost like if you go back to like the 30s, 40s, 50s, they have like those houses of the future, and this is what the future's like. Gotham in this show is literally that, with that classic mindset and future technology.
So do you think that's what it's doing? Where it's like we're all a little bit more innocent and we're able to somehow have that innocence, but still the advanced technology, or do you think it's just it's cartoon and everybody has this really heightened way of doing thinking, and so I don't know.
I guess it's a little bit more the latter, because when we get to like the stuff near the end and it becomes a little bit more serious about like Batman wanting to kill the Sewer King guy, it sort of breaks that a bit, and I feel like a lot of that is not warranted with what we got.
That's a really good point where like all of a sudden there's this like dramatic situation where Batman's acting a little bit more like a real person and not an archetype anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Where it becomes personal for him, and I love that. That's the best thing about it. But yeah, I mean like you start asking all these questions, and at the end of the day, it's just okay. It is a cartoon. By the way, do we have to follow a rat like this, and then the guy is the Sewer King and not the Rat King? Like if this was. I wish this was Ninja Turtle Rat King doing this. That would be.
We'll get to awesome. Batman Beyond eventually, and there's almost literally a Rat King in that show.
That's right. There is a Rat King in that. What is he? The Rat Catcher, or is that a different character?
I think he's the Rat Catcher.
Yeah, I forget. But yeah, like, okay, so where did this guy come from? How did he like? He's a complete, like, really over the top, scary, 2-dimensional, crazy person. Where you're just like. How did he think to get all these like riffraff on the street? I mean, obviously he's a device to make this story happen, so it doesn't matter who he is and where he came from. It is a melodrama.
Yeah.
Okay, but within the context of the show, because so often you have some real motivations for characters, I find it really hard not to go, how did he get a giant bell down there? And why just where did he come from? Why is he there?
And some of that I would be more okay with if it was more of a fantasy. Because I mean, like, if you look at this guy, he's got like pirate clothing, and like this is his introduction. He's got a grandiose way of speaking. He's got an eye patch. He's got alligators. He's got quote unquote lost boys. This is the Peter Pan thing all the way through. But then they jump back and forth with that really fast and don't do anything with the Peter Pan-esque parallels. It's not even really like a commentary on childhood fantasy versus adult worlds or anything like that. There's a little bit of that in the beginning when the kids are playing chicken, but it doesn't ultimately hold together because you get goofy things like them about to take in the kid and Alfred just trying to take care of him, and it's a sitcom suddenly.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of an attempt at maybe maybe some commentary about loss of innocence and stuff like that with the whole Peter Pan scenario at the beginning. But you're right, it doesn't really go far enough because there aren't enough. There aren't really consequences for the kids besides what they go through in the first place. It's not okay, kids. You see, this is why you should be more careful, and why here's the real world, right? There should be more of a sense of uh, coming to terms with reality and gripping what the real world is, and that the city is not your playground.
Yeah.
But then we're doing it through a guy who's this complete fantasy, nobody this guy exists, but I don't know, maybe that's part of the point, is that reality is stranger and scarier than fiction.
Yeah.
Maybe there's that kind of a thing. I don't know, but I guess what I'm saying is, at the end, I'm with Batman, and I appreciate that the whole the thing that gets him. Yeah, Cyclops Batman. The thing that gets me the closest to I want to kill this person is he's hurting children. But shouldn't there be also a little bit of, hey kids, you shouldn't have been out like that.
Yeah, most definitely. Shouldn't be out like that.
They should
an
learn
element
something.
of leprechauns, Batmen, and sewer kings. They don't play that up just enough. There's some dialogue service to it, but it's almost Bugs Bunny-esque in certain ways.
Yeah.
And I say that because on my third screen right now, Bugs Bunny is playing. So.
Oh, really? You're watching Bugs Bunny at the same time as you're watching this?
Well, my TV is on. This is all on my computer, and you're on my laptop. So there's 3 screens. You're on one, Batman's on one, Bugs Bunny's is on the other.
I wonder how many other laptops I'm in right now.
And again, this is part of where the cinematic things come in, like Batman running through this, following this kid, jumping perspectives and stuff. It's really cinematic, and it almost fools you into thinking it's better than it is.
Yeah, it's so interesting. It's the production values are still so up there
that
they can make a really mediocre script come alive. You're Shirley Walker, and you read this script, and this is what you turn in. That is the dictionary definition, Steve, of commitment.
Yeah, I mean, just look into this chase music. It's great. It fits the perspective. The way it jumps up in tempos, the reaction shots and stuff. It's really highbrow for the time. And there's this weird constant running metaphor with trains. I'm not sure what that's about necessarily. When Grant Morrison does it, it's a life-changing experience, but not when this is happening.
Yeah, you're right. It's kind of, I think a certain degree of it is simply location, right?
Yeah.
It's okay. We're underground. That's where the train is.
Yeah.
But yeah, we could try to read into it and figure out what it is, Steve. Right away, nothing's coming to me.
And the same here. It probably might not mean anything. It's just weird because there's lots of trains. By the way, dumpster.
I can't believe the Batmobile has a dumpster disguise. That's amazing.
That is fantastic.
That is clearly a callback to '89.
Yeah.
That and also the way he drops it when he talks into his palm communicator thing.
Yeah.
That's really cool. And he's and I think it's almost as neat as the shield. It's goofy. I don't know how the heck it works, but I think it's super cool that he has that.
Yeah.
I don't think it ever does anything like that again, does it?
No, it doesn't. But the Batmobile is also magic because nothing that long would ever be able to make those turns, ever.
Yeah. That's a really good point. But again, we've got a little bit of, I don't want to say cartoon physics, but there's a suspension of disbelief where we have at least comic book physics, right?
Yeah.
Where to a degree it's like real life. No, Alfred, it's not a leprechaun, dude. Okay, yeah. At this point, he's like, see, Batman, you're so dumb. It's a little kid. It's not a leprechaun. Yeah. But everybody before this,
is leprechaun.
Everybody's like, maybe it's an actual leprechaun.
I hate this portion of the episode because Alfred raised Bruce from his parents' death onward. What do you mean you don't know how to raise children? Why are you waking him up like this?
That is such a good point. Apparently Bruce Wayne raised himself.
Evidently. It was the Gotham mentality of he just tells Alfred to shut up and things go forward.
Here's what happened. And forget Mask of the Phantasm. Pretend like that didn't happen. It didn't happen. It's a mulligan. Okay, so what happens is Bruce Wayne, the day after his parents get killed, finds the Batcave. He holds himself in there. Alfred, gives him a refrigerator, and replenishes his food every day, and then he just lives down there, and then he never sees Alfred again until he becomes Batman.
So essentially, it's a longer version of Batman Venom, where he's detoxing for 3 months.
Except he grew up that way.
Yes.
Yeah. Something that we should mention with this too is that the way this guy treats these kids, of course, is terrifying and cruel and sadistic and really freaky if you're a kid watching this. And I do kind of appreciate, to a degree, like Fox even allowing them to do this kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm not saying like, oh yay, we're terrorizing children. I'm just saying that if you want to show the like terror, if you want to like be with these kids and feel bad about what's happening to them, there have to be stakes. There have to be consequences. They need to have that. You need to feel like they have that really terrible kind of environment.
Yeah, and a lot of that's also there in the visuals too. Like this guy, he's pulling this cape over as he talks. When he's eating, the food's messing his face all over. His drinks are splashing everywhere. He's gorging himself. He's greedy. He's a bit disgusting. He's throwing this food all over the place, and it's a little bit terrifying. Even growing up, it's a kind of like disrespect and grandioseness that you don't see every day, and it still has a bit of an impact, even if there's no fleshing out to it.
Yeah, a lot of it is just in that there's not really enough to it, but just with kind of the initial atmosphere and overall what they're going for. Okay, so this is dumb.
Yeah. The knives and fork, and also I never had water with a flower in it.
Well, okay, that's just funny. That's just an amusing flourish. But how is Alfred Batman's butler and he is this completely oblivious? Where this kid puts down, if you're not watching this kid puts down a knife and fork. Or, I mean, I'm sorry, Alfred puts down a knife and fork. He looks up. The kid steals them. Alfred looks back down and they're gone. And he goes, oh, I could have sworn that I put a knife and a fork there. What?
Well, I mean, like, a lot of this is just strange because it makes me wonder, why didn't Batman just leave him in a hospital with the police or something? Why did Alfred have to take care of him in the first place?
Yeah, it's almost like, and see, then Batman says, I wonder if I was that much trouble. So we're already reminding the audience that Alfred raised him.
Yeah. Oh,
because
also,
he's finding
Batman's got a gun cabinet, and I hate that.
I don't mind it.
Oh, okay. Why do you say that?
Because it might have been his dad's.
That's fair. But this is also a show where the gun has some really potent imagery too. Like there's lots of uses and mentions of it, and it was very used for a very particular reason. I don't think Bruce, at least in this series, would allow a gun cabinet, even if it was his dad's.
I don't know. Maybe we don't have enough time to argue about it. I can see the merits to both. I do think that it is shoehorned in there to do another PSA about be careful about guns, kids. Like it's almost like and we run the risk with this a lot sometimes, especially in the 90s making kid shows, where when we make protagonists or like characters that you're really supposed to feel for the age of the average kid that's watching this show, we feel like we have a duty to have like really obvious like forced messages to them, and I don't think kids learn that way.
No, they don't. And I mean, like, this is like the 20-something episode to air, so clearly that lesson's been there for a while anyway. And I mean, even just from like a logic perspective, why isn't that cabinet locked then? Isn't there a danger PSA there of like, you should just keep it in plain sight and trust your kid?
Yeah, that if that kid did something, it's because Batman and Alfred are negligent. Now, granted, they don't have kids there all the time, but still, you'd lock the frickin' cabinet, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't want to read too much into it. It is just a cartoon and it's a fun show and all, but again, this is one of those episodes where you can read into certain episodes greatly and other ones you not so much, and that's what kind of gives this show the up and down pattern. Like you get episodes like Critters and you get episodes like Perchance to Dream, so.
Yeah. Well, and it's just quality of writing, and of course, a lot of different writers, a lot of different people.
Also, this alligator stuff is going to be fun. The fight scenes with these alligators are hilarious, mostly because Batman overcomplicates them.
I think a lot of what we're reacting to so far, Steve, is just this particular episode being really inconsistent with what kind of show it is. It's like I don't think it knows. I think that somebody. It's almost like you got two people butting heads where somebody thinks that it is a silly, fun Fox cartoon.
Yeah.
And somebody else thinks that there's like a really potent, important message here.
Yeah, I mean, like, just look at this scene with the way the music is playing around. Batman's hog-tying an alligator. Scene right before this, he's looking at abused kids yelling evidence. They just don't gel. And this is kind of the part I want to talk about. So, alligators and crocodiles have a force of 2,000 to 4,000 pounds of pressure. It would be simpler to just leave his mouth closed than to try and force it open. And also, he just killed him. So I don't know how he feels about that. He forced his mouth so wide open that he killed it. Is that a thing with Batman? Can he kill animals and not people?
Yeah, and also Batman giving kids thumbs up is just hilarious. Yeah. Once again, it's in that really silly gray place where it doesn't know what it is.
Yeah, and I mean, like, very next scene is Batman thinking about it. He's about to kill this guy when we get to him with the train. Again,
it's almost like it's almost like scene to scene. It's like somebody wrote half of it.
Yeah.
Like the alternating scenes, half of it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's really bizarre. So yeah, Batman just straight up killing an animal like that, not a thing you could get away with now.
No, definitely not. There might have been someone that just didn't catch it, so it was released fine, but I'm sure upon review it probably wouldn't have been passed.
Also, did he just say, "I thought you were endangered," but he killed one?
I believe
Do we have to have that line in the middle of this? That's kind of hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, Batman's really punny in this show. It's great. Like in the beginning of this episode, when he talks about those kids playing chicken, he says, "If you play chicken enough, you're gonna get fried." That's fun.
Do you think I'm probably reading too much into this? Do you think there might even be a little bit of a thing here about like super abusive parents and just or even like people who run homes for orphaned and neglected children who can I don't like that line. Who can justify anything they do to the kids because where would the kids be without them? You know,
yeah.
where he has the lines in a couple of places about how he takes care of them and that's all that matters. And yet he completely controls them and is not going to bring them up to be their own people and doesn't even let them speak at all. And that's why that one kid is mute through the whole episode.
Yeah.
Are we doing anything with that?
I wouldn't have read into it as much if I saw this when it was airing, because there's that other episode, Appointment in Crime Alley, that's all about that. So I know the show tackles that. I'm not sure if they were intentionally doing that with this episode, but there's certainly elements of it. And
if so, it's not real effective. I mean, it's almost just like we're reinforcing that he's the bad guy. And I don't know if we get any farther than he's a bad man and you're supposed to like watching Batman beat him because he hurts kids.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, just there, we had Batman fighting alligators. The alligators save him because they're his pretties. And now Batman saves him from a train about to kill him, thinking that he should kill him anyway. And you wonder just ultimately what the point of the script was outside of just getting Batman in a sewer. I do kind of like this exchange. I don't think it's warranted, but I do like when we see Batman make conversation like this, and we hear Kevin Conroy in his prime.
Yeah, good call. And kind of reinforcing what Batman's values are. Because the nice thing is, at the very least, this doesn't feel like a generic episode that could be with like any superhero stopping this guy. Yeah. It is very Batman. You know,
this is not a Superman episode. This is not a Spider-Man episode. It's inherently Batman.
Batman says, "I don't pass sentence. That's for the courts, and I'd love to do that, but I can't." That's who he is.
Yeah. Also, this is a nice way to cap off the episode too, with him with his cape wrapped around him.
Yeah. I mean, it's not unwatchable. I'm with you. I think you turn the sound off and you somehow get a hold of just the soundtrack, and it's a better episode.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it more than I have because I haven't seen this episode in years, but it's certainly a fun watch. It's a quick watch, but it's not one that you remember this series for, and it's nowhere near the quality what we're going to get later in season 2.
And there's just some really weird, perplexing stuff where you're like, why is that in there?
Yeah, exactly. And the very next episode is POV, and POV is the exact opposite when it comes to consistency of storytelling.
Now, I got to ask you this again, because I forget. What exactly is the DVD order? Is it the production order?
Yes. I believe the DVDs are production order, and then the TV stuff was there because of a delay of some kind. I'm not entirely sure what the issue was with that.
Yeah, I knew that. I was just wondering if we can be certain that we're looking at the order that they made these in exactly, because that would tell you a lot.
Yeah, because this is the thing that's being perpetuated. Like, you go on Amazon, you go on DVDs, you go on the collected editions. It's all the same order, and the air dates are just off.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would assume this is the order that they made these episodes in, and also some of this was made by committee. So there's 5 episodes being made at the same time. So some are really good, some are really bad.
Yeah.
But we're getting closer and closer to the better stuff like Two-Face.
Yeah, that's cool. We should also mention that we're going to do the 2-parters together, so those will be slightly longer episodes.
Yeah.
Actually, I shouldn't say slightly; they'll be like twice as long. As long episodes. Anyway, everybody, thanks always for watching. We sure appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed watching Underdwellers with us, and we will see you again. I don't know next week, Christmas week, kind of up in the air, but we may be back for that, or we may have to skip a week. But anyway, we will see you again at the very least in a couple of weeks. And thanks again for watching. I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Steve Baxi.
And we'll see you again next time.